Well, thanks for sitting down to chat. I'd always seen like your work and stuff, and like thought, oh yeah, she's great. And I thought it'd be cool to sit down and talk.
Aw, thanks. I'm super excited to finally chat with you. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. I think just to kind of kick things off, I would just like to know during your free time, what do you do? Like, what keeps you occupied when or if you have free time?
When or if, yeah. These days, I feel like, I don't know, like a lot of times I find myself I have a hard time like relaxing in my free time these days. But if I am able to like kind of just chill, I like to read, play video games, play music, which I actually haven't done in a long time. And I feel
What do you play?
I play shakuhachi, which is a Japanese bamboo flute, and I'm trying to teach myself the guitar slash guitarlele. Yeah, I can play a little bit of that. And
So the shakuhachi, like, what led to that?
what led to that? Oh man,
That's just not one that you usually hear,
Yeah.
you know, and which I think it's awesome. I'm like, what led to that?
I lived in Japan for a while, and actually,
Okay.
it goes back even further than that.
Sure.
I studied theater in college, and while we were doing our Suzuki style acting exercises, they would play shakuhachi music, and I just loved the sound of it. And then I heard it in a lot of anime, which I was watching at the time. And I just thought, like, I don't know, I just fell in love with the kind of lonely sound of this instrument. And I already played the flute for years. And so when I moved to Japan, I looked for a teacher immediately to see if I could learn how to play
Okay.
it. And I found one miraculously because I lived in initially Yuri Honjo in Akita, which is kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And so I surprisingly was able to find a teacher and started to learn. And I still am kind of studying, although I haven't been to lessons in a while because of COVID. I found a teacher in LA as well, but yeah, COVID has kind of slowed everything down, and it just kind of like demotivated me to keep practicing. So,
Sure, sure. Was that jet, or or you just wanted to live in Japan, or what was the
yes, it
what
was.
led you to Japan?
It was Jet.
Okay.
How did you know?
Gotcha. I've known people who've gone to both, like, Japan, Korea,
Yeah.
for
I think
teaching and stuff.
Jet is like probably the most common route. I've heard people say that they find themselves there. Yeah, so it wasn't that I wanted to live in Japan, but I really wanted to travel. And my senior year of college, I was kind of like, well, I guess I'm going to move to New York and do acting after this. And my Japanese teacher at the time was like, why don't you apply to the JET program? I think you'd love it. And I was like, okay, let me give that a try. And I got in, and that was that. I decided to move there, and initially I was just going to be there for a year because I was like, let me go travel, chill. And then I stayed for 6 years. So
Wow.
yeah.
Were you ever considering, like, this is where I'm going to be forever? Because some people I know, like, whether through JET for Japan or, some people I've known who've gone to Korea to teach, they just fall in love with the country and they just live there. Like,
Yeah.
Did that ever cross your mind? Or?
I mean, kind of. I was 2 years in Akita just teaching on JET, and then I decided to move to Tokyo because I was like, I want to try to do the acting and music thing, and I'm not going to be doing it in Akita. And it was either like move back to the States and do it there or try Tokyo. And I was like, I have to at least try living in Tokyo while I'm in Japan.
Sure.
So I moved to Tokyo, and I kind of did like a lot of different things performance-wise. I was mainly doing like these children's musicals that were on stage, and they traveled around Japan, so that was cool because I got to see a lot of the country and stuff.
Okay.
And I would just do like random other gigs, some voiceover here and there, and that's where I first got started in voiceover.
Really? In Japan? Interesting.
Yes.
And so was this English voiceover or Japanese or both?
It was English, yeah.
Okay. Because I assume I mean, you taught. I mean, I assume you're fluent in Japanese, but I got it. So they were hiring you for English voiceover. Was this like, what kind of projects were you doing?
It was, so I didn't do a ton of voiceover there, but I did some just like, promo stuff. And I did voices for the shows that I was in. And
Okay.
like they had like these puppets that would talk. And then also for some of the shows, they had people in costume, like those giant animal costumes. Like, what are they
Yeah,
called? I
yeah.
cannot think of the word right now. Like a mascot type costume.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did like the voiceovers for those shows. And
In English.
in English, yeah.
Okay, okay. Are these like long? Like, I mean, long monologues, or like I'm wondering like why in English? Like, is the audience?
So, yeah.
Oh wait, what's up? Is there is there a story behind this?
I mean, it's not really a story. It's just like these shows were to teach kids English. That was the purpose. They're kids shows to teach kids English. They were part of a club, and like club members would get tickets to come see these shows.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite character you played back then? In those plays? Were there any memorable ones that still you remember? Or is it just a blur at this point?
I mean, they were all kind of like very basic, like slow talking. They're all cute, but like there was a character called Pom Pom who's a panda bear, and
Okay.
Pom Pom was pretty fun.
Now, you mentioned earlier at the time you watched anime. Do you still watch anime or no?
I do. I just don't watch as much as I used to.
Sure.
Yeah, I think like in high school I really like kind of got into anime and I watched a lot of it. And
Okay.
now it's like it's mainly like a time thing, and also just like if I have time to watch something, I'm usually watching it with like my boyfriend or somebody else, and they don't always want to watch anime. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
see.
I did convince my boyfriend to watch The Way of the House Husband though, because I was like, I'm in it. Don't you want to see my work?
So the trick now is just getting all the anime that you want to watch. Then you'll have an excuse to make him watch it with you.
Yeah, just guilt him into all of it.
So what's your favorite anime? How weeb are we talking here? Like, were you deep in it?
In high school, I feel like I was like one of my favorites that I watched just because the subtitles were so hilarious was Geroro Gunso.
Oh yeah,
Like it was so funny because I don't even know if like I remember I would go to my friend Elvis's house and we would just watch whatever anime that he had available, and he had a DVD of Geroro Gunso, and like I don't know if there was a dub on the DVD, but we watched the subtitled version, and they were just like all over the place, and it just made it even funnier. So that was a classic. Like I love Cowboy Bebop, which I want to rewatch because I haven't seen it in a long
great.
time.
One aside, I also have a friend named Elvis. I feel like that's a rare.
Really?
It's like a rare. Yeah, a very close friend, Elvis, who I'm still very good friends with. So
No way.
That's it's just interesting. You never meet a lot of people who know an Elvis.
Yeah.
But
Where did
anyway,
you meet your Elvis?
my Elvis was actually. How familiar are you with my background with, let's say, Mario? Do you know this?
I know
tale?
that you write Mario fan fiction.
Hold on, I don't write it currently.
I mean, sure you don't. That's what you say
I did in the
publicly.
past, and actually, I have to write one for the charity milestones now. But my internet background as a youngin was like, oh god, like this would have been starting at like age 12, writing Mario fan fiction, and so I met my current wife. My wife. It's not like I had other wives. I think I'm used to saying like my then girlfriend, now wife. But
You're just like
anyway,
specifying
I
your
just
timelines
skipped
a little
step.
too much.
Yeah. Current wife for now. No. I met my wife and a lot of very close friends who I'm still very good friends with today through a Mario fan fiction community. And we've just known each other for, God, 18 some years.
Wow.
Now. And yeah, so that's my... Wait, why am I talking about this again?
I asked you how you knew your Elvis.
That's right. And in that community, Elvis was one of those guys.
Oh, cool.
For listeners, he's that's the Elvis who's been on the podcast before. But yeah, anyway, yeah, we both have an Elvis in our histories. Any other anime that anything now that you have enjoyed semi-recently?
Anything now? So recently, I haven't watched too much. I just watched Way of the House Husband, which I thought was pretty freaking funny. I started watching, what is it, Dorohedoro, but I didn't get very far. I like weird stuff, so I was like, this is right up my alley, but I didn't get very far yet. So I'm reserving judgment until I watch more.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's one I need to watch. I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? Are you an anime fan?
I never really stopped. So for me, it's well, that's not true. I think it's like it sort of ebbs and flows, right? It's like especially now, it's like I have more time than before, so it sort of resurged where a group of friends and I, we do a weekly. We each bring an episode of an anime, like a presentation, and we watch one episode of each show every week. So it's like 6 shows, and we've been going through a lot of anime actually during COVID. And so some new stuff for me has been Sarazanmai. I've been enjoying. I don't know if you know that show. That one's pretty good. I've been showing them Sound Euphonium 2, or in Sound Euphonium, which was one of my favorites. Yeah, just a bunch of some older stuff that I never actually watched. I never ever actually watched Nichijou or Space Dandy, and watching those. We just got introduced to we just got introduced to a new show, or not? Oh yeah, like the other night, Tonkatsu DJ Agetaro, where it's about a guy who works at a tonkatsu restaurant but also wants to be a DJ, and he starts discovering the parallels that apparently there are skills at being a tonkatsu chef that correlate to being a DJ. It's pretty funny. Like we've watched the first 2 and I was like, this is pretty great. I would say funny. Yeah, that, and there's this other show another friend of mine we've been watching called Garakuta Mr. Stain on Junk Alley, which I'd never heard of before in my life. It is a weird, like 2000s or I think early 2000s CG anime with if you Google Mr. Stain on Junk Alley, you will see how fucking bizarre this show is. It's wild. Like it's only like 6-7 minute episodes, and each episode, you never know what's gonna happen. Like
you had me at bizarre.
Yeah. Like I feel like every episode there's at least one moment where we all just go, "What? Like, what is happening?" You think you can predict what's gonna happen, and then it just goes wild. There's no dialogue. It's just these strange characters.
There's no dialogue? Okay. Wait a second. I wonder if I've seen an episode of this. I'm gonna look it up after. But
no, look it up. Look it up. Have you seen it? Have you? I want to know if you've seen this show.
Okay. Say the name one more time.
Garakuta Mr. Stain on Junk Alley. If you search Mr. Stain on Junk Alley, I mean, if you've seen this, you will know.
No, I haven't. This is something else.
Do you know what you were thinking of?
No, it was like this weird. I feel like there was no talking either, and like I feel like there was like a cat character, and so I'm like,
cat character. Is it CG?
It was, but I think he was like, I don't know if I think he was like blue. I don't know what I'm thinking of. I don't know.
Blue cat anime. I mean, the only thing I can think of is, like, obviously, like, Doraemon or something.
Anime, but, yeah.
Let's see.
Or, like, Gumball. What am I thinking of?
If anyone listeners know, let me know in the comments. I'm curious.
This is, like, a very vague thing to go off of. That I could be wrong. Like, anime. I just remember it being, like, it was one of those things, like, they're, like, short episodes. I feel like it was CG, and, like, I think that there was a cat in it, and I can't remember beyond that.
Anthropomorphic cat or like actual cat? Like, is it walking around like on two legs, like hello, or is it like an actual four-legged cat?
I think it was
like...
an actual cat, but honestly don't remember.
This
is like the vague. I have a terrible memory when it comes to stuff like this, unless I like rewatch it or like I don't know.
Sure. You mentioned before also video games. What have you been playing lately?
Oh boy, so I'm like notorious for starting games and never finishing them these days.
Sure.
I am currently playing Blue Fire. Blue
Fire.
Yeah, it's for Switch, or I'm playing it on Switch. It might be for other platforms. And it was recommended by a friend because he knows that I loved Hollow Knight, and so it's kind of in the same like tone of that game, but it's 3D and it's not a side scroller.
Is it like top down? Like I see, yeah, it's kind of like a almost not isometric, but kind of like I see, like an action platformer ish, or more of an action game.
It's got like levels in it that you play, like what are they called, voids, and they are really hard. So I'm almost done with that one, and I'm like, I'm gonna finish this before I start anything else, because I always will, like, I'll play a game and sometimes I'll get like 75% done and then something else comes out, or like I get busy and I leave it and then something else comes out and I just start that and I never finish it. Like, I have not finished The Last of Us. I have not finished Pokemon Shield. I have not finished Final Fantasy VII, or I have not. Oh, like, it's really bad. The list goes on.
Are we talking Last of Us 1 or 2?
One. I started one twice.
Okay.
I started one twice, and so the first time I got stuck on one part, and so I put it down and then like moved on to I think I played Nier Automata after that. I did finish that, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then 2 was coming out, and my roommate was like, we should start over and like play from the beginning. I'm like, yeah, and we played through like an hour and then we just never touched it again. I'm really bad at first person shooters, and so
gotcha. Yeah, for me, if I drop a game, it's usually early. Like, it's usually like I get like maybe 10% in and I go, I just don't feel like it. It's rare for me to do it at the 75% mark, because I think to get to that point, it had to have hooked me that far. You know what I mean? I'm pretty fickle of like, if a game can't hook me within the first couple hours, like at least make me want to play more, I'll just be like, psh. I'll just go. I don't care. I'll just move on to the next one. Like that first 2 to 3 hour period is crucial. It's like, if you can't get me hooked, I don't know. It's much more likely
that's
I'll probably drop it.
There's a lot of stuff out there, and like, yeah, that's fair.
That's how I feel about a lot, like most mediums, like shows. It's like, they're like, watch the whole season. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not gonna watch the whole season first. It gets good after the first season. It's like, oh, great. I don't have time. That's not entirely true. I don't have the patience, more so I think it's more, but I think when a show or a game or whatever can hook you, that's just a testament to how good it is. It's, like, I very recently got into Hades. I don't know if you've played that at all.
I haven't, but I've heard it, like, it's great. So
it's pretty amazing.
Really?
I mean, finish Blue Fire. Finish Blue Fire first.
Yes. Okay.
But after Blue Fire, if you're looking for a game that's just very addicting, very rewarding to play, Hades. It's funny because so many guests on the podcast have tried to get me to play Hades, and I finally am. And it's not like I didn't believe them. I knew it was gonna hook me. So I just had to wait for like a time where I needed that. Not that my schedule's gotten any less busy, but I've gotten more like, I just want to like, for me, I have the tendency to want to beat the shit out of a game sometimes, like 100% it. So yes. I'm in the mood for it now. So I'm like, okay, Hades is the perfect game for it because it's all about unlocking, and getting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay. Then I want to play it because, oh my god, I have a hard time these days with like all the DLC and like the games that just keep going. Like I had to stop playing Animal Crossing because I was like, this has no end. Like this is just gonna go on forever, and I can't. Like I need 100%. I need to get all this stuff, and I couldn't do it. So like it's adorable. I get why people like it.
My goal is to get all the Nook Mile rewards, all of them, period. Which will take, I think, still several more months. Because KK Slider concerts, you have to do, only go to your island. And anyway, it's a whole thing. But are there any games that you did crush? Any games that you did get super consumed or into?
I'm trying to think of the last one. It's been a long time since I've like 100% completed something. What was the latest? I played a Metroid game, and I can't remember which one it was for.
Was it a side-scrolling one or one of the primes?
Yeah, side-scroller.
Newer release?
Yeah.
Was it a remake? It's like I'm playing 20 questions at this point.
Yes.
Was it the one where it was like the remake of 2?
Possibly.
Okay. What console?
I'm like blanking on the name.
Probably. It was probably. Is it Metroid 2: Return of Samus?
No.
Was it?
I'm like. Wait.
Because I know that one had a remake on 3DS, I want to say, or something like that.
Was it Fusion?
Oh, Fusion.
Fusion.
The Game Boy Advance one? Did it have a blue evil Samus in it or whatever? Or not an evil Samus. There's like a dark one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think that I'm like that's the last game I can think of right now that I for sure like beat 100%. And then like I was trying to get Breath of the Wild. Like I spent so much time on that game, and I'm also like I don't like to cheat. It's like I don't like to look stuff up online, or I don't like to like, you know how the Koroks are in that game, you have to find a million of them.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna use anything. Oof. Like I'm not gonna look up where they are. I'm just gonna find them with my mask and like and I still haven't complete that one, but like that might be my next
project.
Goal. Yeah, project.
Yeah, I should go back to Breath of the Wild because I beat it. Did you get all the shrines?
Mm-hmm.
There was one I didn't get because it was in the castle and I accidentally stumbled upon the final boss, and beat it. So I was like, fuck, well, whatever. There's like stuff I could go back to in that. I think I have a hard time. I think also a reason why I don't usually, switch games often until I beat it is I have that thing where if I stop playing a game and go back to it, it's very hard for me to be like oriented, like to remember exactly like how to play everything.
Yeah.
I think the only games I can do that with are something like Three Houses, because I played it like fucking 7 times at this point, all the way through.
Did you really?
Yes. I've gotten all 4 paths. And then each time DLC came out, I did a playthrough, and then I did another playthrough because of a charity milestone with the new DLC. But yeah, have you played Three Houses at all?
I have. Like I said, I think did I mention that earlier? Yeah, that's another I started and didn't finish. But I do I like it because I had never played a Fire Emblem game before this one.
Okay.
And I was like really surprised at how much I liked the strategy of battle.
Yeah.
Because initially I was like, this is going to be hard. But then I was like, no, this is fun and good and I like it. But I got distracted and never finished it. I'm going to go back to it though because I really like that game and it's relaxing. It's really relaxing for me. The music, the characters, even though it is dramatic, but... You know. It's
a very accessible entry point, I think, for Fire Emblem. I think the ones before this were actually pretty hard. I mean, diehard fans are gonna be like, you think those were hard, the old school. But I think Three Houses is actually a very nice entry point for people who have never played it because it's definitely easier and adds a lot of features that are like quality of life stuff that I like. Because I mean, I used to be pretty hardcore with like, oh, and, reset every time a character dies or whatever. But now I'm like, I don't have the fucking time for this. Give me a rewind function, thank you. I'll just take that.
Yeah, I like that. It takes a lot of the stress
Yes,
out.
yeah. I don't
like,
have the
oops,
stamina to play it the other way anymore. Okay. Now, I like to give the guests an opportunity. Is there either a topic you would like to bring up, or a question for me, or anything that you want to tackle?
Okay. Yeah. I have a question for you.
What's up?
So you do a lot of those videos where you just taste everything.
I do, yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering what brought those on, and if you have like a favorite thing that you've had to try everything of.
Okay. So, no joke, the reason why I wanted to do those is because, well, I known that people had done them on like online or whatever, and I was like, that always seemed kind of fun. And I don't know about you, but whenever I went to the grocery store, you would look at, let's say, like the Oreo section and be like, that's a lot of fucking Oreos. Like,
Yeah.
30 or 30 some Oreos. Like, man, I wonder what these all taste like. And then I was like, well, fuck it. Why don't I just find out? So I think the first one I did was it was Lunchables, which was miserable.
Oh boy.
That was like a thing of going, I haven't had these in what, 20 some plus years. So are these going to be as good? I knew they weren't, but I was like, maybe this will be fun, like a nostalgia thing. No, they're fucking terrible. They're just disgusting. Like, they weren't good when you were a kid. You were just dumb as a kid.
What about the ham and cheese one?
Okay,
No?
You mean the cracker one, like ham and cheese crackers?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were a kid and you don't know how anything tastes, you're like, yeah, these are great. When you're an adult and you've had real ham and cheese, you're like, oh, these are terrible. Like, I mean, they're not. I will say that compared to some of the other stuff, I would say it was fine. But
I'm curious, what do they have new Lunchables? Because I haven't eaten them since I was like a kid. So I remember there was like ham and cheese, turkey and cheese, pizza Lunchables. There was the nacho one, which made me really sick one time. So never again.
Oh, really? Gotcha. Yeah. I would say the pizza ones are actually probably the best ones. Just because at worst you're just eating a ketchupy pepperoni disc. like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's not that bad. I'm trying to think. There were some really bad, I think, like sandwiches or something. Those were bad. That was miserable.
I'm sorry.
I brought it upon myself. And my favorite one, let's see. There were some that are like actually pretty pleasurable. Like I like savory snacks, so like there was one that was just like, try 30 different Lays. But I mean like one or two, and so it was like, oh yeah, just that wasn't so bad. A sampling, right? I think anything like that, like Cheetos, Cheez-Its, those were all good. The Pocky one was fine. Anything that like, I'd say some of the worst ones were Lunchables was one. Pop-Tarts? Fuck Pop-Tarts. I can't. I never need to eat another Pop-Tart in my life.
Man, I also don't like Pop-Tarts, and people get real mad about it. They're like, "What?"
I'm with you because
it's dry, and I'm sorry.
Some of them are fine. Like, I like some of them, but try trying like 29 different one of them in a sitting. Like, not the whole thing, but even a bite each, and you want to die. Like,
thanks.
It's terrible. I don't really like goldfish crackers. I think they're very bland. That was pretty bad. Chips Ahoy cookies suck ass. I have found only like one or two varieties are good, and the rest are ass. It's kind of nice to do these and go, great, I never have to be tempted by this particular snack ever again. I will never want to eat a Pop-Tart again, or goldfish crackers again. That craving has been buried alive 6 feet under. I no longer have to worry about that.
Well, thank you for doing the work for the rest of us, so we
Oh
don't
no,
have
yes,
to.
yes, you're welcome. Let's see, there was LaCroix, which I don't know your take on LaCroix.
Oh
I
yeah, I
don't.
saw that,
I
and I was like, "Where's the cola one?" Because there's a cola flavor apparently.
Is it any good?
I haven't tried it yet because I can't get it anywhere.
Do you
But
like LaCroix?
I am not a huge fan. My boyfriend drinks
Mm.
it religiously. But I'm like, it's fine. I like mango and hibiscus the best.
A mango, I don't think I found mango either. I found like 14 of them, and that was enough.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the worst parts is I don't do the next one until we finish it or give away everything. And since it's pandemic and I don't get to see people as often, I can't give these away as easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally drinking LaCroix right now. We just have to drink our way through these terrible metal fizzy bullshit beverages for the next couple weeks. But
Good luck.
yeah. Well, I'm having a coconut one right now, and this one's fine. But
I don't know. I think
not a big coconut fan.
I think I tried the coconut and I didn't like it, but the worst one for me was the key lime one, I think.
Really? I liked the key lime one.
Well, I don't like key lime pie or anything. Like, I'm not a fan of key lime.
I
see.
see.
It was just like the thing I don't like. So
key lime and coconut made me feel something. So I like them better than the others, which made me feel nothing or rage.
That's fair.
Just like, at least these kind of reminded me of a coconut or reminded me of a lime as opposed to a fever dream, TV static fever dream of what a fruit might be. That's what I think other ones are like for me. Now, going back to video games, what would you say your favorite video game is?
I'm less hardcore than a lot of people, but I do love video games, and I think, oh man, I still say Ocarina of Time just because it was like such a revolutionary game at the time.
Yeah.
Because I played it when it came out because I'm old, and it was just so cool to ride a horse around this open world map and just mind-blowing. I think Breath of the Wild is now a better game, and I also adore that game. It's so hard to choose like one favorite, like, because I love these for different reasons. And then I love the original Metroid games so much, like this Super Metroid, the side scrollers. Like, I adore those games. And I gotta say, Guitar Man.
Ooh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Oh my god.
You're trying to tell me, I don't play hard. I'm not a hard. And then you pull out fucking Guitar Man. Like,
Oh my god.
on.
Wait, so you know Guitar Man?
Oh yeah, that's a deep cut. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 year for Halloween, I was Guitar Man.
Oh shit. Okay. So you're never allowed to say again, I'm not that in, or I'm not as hard. That's hardcore. That is legit hardcore.
I guess I have for Halloween I have cosplayed a lot of video game characters. Like, I was part of a Mario party where I was Boo, and I made the mask for that. I was Recyclink, so I was Link, but I made my costume out of recyclables. Okay. So that happened, and then I think that's
for Boo. Is the mat like you have a mask with the Boo mask, and the rest is like a blank, like a cloth, or what's describe the Boo costume?
So I made basically a Boo body helmet, and then I just wore black. Okay. So it was just like the head.
That's cute. Okay. Also, just wanted to say, you said something earlier that you played Ocarina of Time when you were a child. That counts you as old. That hurt me. But I guess that's technically true. That at this point, we are very old, and there are kids who think of Ocarina of Time as like a relic. Because when was that? That was 1990. What year did that come out? You know, offhand?
I don't know offhand.
90
of time. La 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 la.
98. Oh God. Okay. So, yeah, that was what, 23 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry we're gonna die soon.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Because sometimes I'll hear people be like, "Oh yeah, I grew up with like the Wii." I'm like, "You grew up? What do you mean you grew up with the Wii? What?" Like, that's like high school is when I played the Wii.
Yeah.
God. So it's clearly you've been playing games for a long time, and I mean now you're getting to voice in them. Did you was voiceover something that you ever wanted to do as a kid, or was it something you kind of stumbled into?
It was kind of a little bit of both. As a fan of, I love cartoons as well, animation, huge cartoon fan, and video games. And so, but like growing up, there wasn't a ton of voiceover in video games. So,
right,
because we're old.
Yeah.
So it was more animation that kind of influenced me in that regard. And I just loved playing around with sound and my voice, and it was always just kind of an interest, but I never thought that I could do it as a job until it kind of like very slowly dawned on me when I was in Japan, because I would, I was an actor. I studied theater. I was a theater major, and I was like, I'm going to be an actor / singer, blah. Yeah. So I was like, oh, part of acting is this other thing that people do professionally. And, oh, I think I might be kind of good at it. And, oh my gosh, people have careers in this. Should I pursue? And then I like decided to just go for it, because I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, yes, this is what I love to do. This is what I want to do. Sure. And like, it's not that I'm not opposed to doing other things, but this is why I moved back to the United States, and I moved to LA. I was in New York first, just for a couple months taking voiceover lessons, because I was like, I'm going to go for this thing. And then, I don't know if you know about the Bang Zoom contest that I was in.
No.
Okay.
Tell me the tale.
The tale is that I moved back to the States, and I was like, let me look for some voiceover opportunities on the internet. And I stumbled across a voiceover contest hosted by Bang Zoom and Starchild Entertainment. And the deadline for submissions was like the next day, and they wanted like a talent video and a voiceover video. So like you doing voiceover characters, blah, blah, blah. And then another separate video of like random talents that you have.
Right, okay.
And so I like threw together these videos, which are still online on my YouTube channel that is basically dead. And I entered the contest, and then it went on for like several months. So in the meantime, I like moved to New York. I was pursuing voiceover. They had like a second round with the judges, and one of those judges was Patrick Seitz.
Okay.
That's how I met Patrick. And Keith Silverstein was another judge, and Mommy from Bang Zoom was the third judge. And so that went on, and then they had like a final round, and they flew 4 finalists to LA to do that final round. And it was nuts.
So what year was this?
Oh, it must have been, was it 2015?
Okay. And what talents were in your talent video? I assume your music, right?
Yeah, it was mainly, what did I do? I played like a little bit of, because I play like a little piano, a little guitar, a little flute. So I did like a mishmash of those things. And I think at the end I showed some pictures of my cakes, because I bake as a hobby as well. So it was just like very random. And then for my entry, I did like a bunch of impressions, which then like when I got to the second round, they had us do more original stuff, not impersonations. So yeah.
What was the prize?
The prize was I was in Miss Monochrome, the dub of Miss Monochrome, which was a little anime Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the singer's name. Oh, Yui Horie.
Oh, Yui Horie. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
So
Yeah,
this
yeah,
was
yeah.
her whole character and this adorable little anime. It's pretty cute. She has like a Roomba
Oh,
that is like a pet and stuff. So that was my first anime dub, and it was so
wow.
surreal and just like I flew out to LA. I dubbed the series because it's a short series.
Sure.
And then I flew back to New York, and I was like, oh man, all of the video games and animation are in LA. So like
Yep.
6 months after I moved to New York, I moved to LA, and here I am today.
Thanks to Miss Monochrome.
Yes.
And that's cool though. Okay. So, that was sort of like your, oh shit, let's fucking do this sort of inspiration, I guess.
Yeah.
So how many sessions was Miss Monochrome?
Oh my gosh, I don't
I mean,
remember.
ish. Like,
It
were you
was
there for like a couple days or?
yeah,
like...
yeah, because I was only in town for a few days to do this, and so I
Mm.
think we did it over 2 days, and we just because I was like completely new,
Sure.
but like it was short and like yeah, it went pretty quick. So
Okay.
yeah,
Damn, that's a good story. I had not known that actually. I'm looking at this. Okay, so they're like 5 minutes an episode. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
I was like 13 episodes in like a couple days. I was like, ooh, that's a lot to ask of a
No.
new
No,
brand
no.
new actor. Okay.
no.
Okay.
But it was like it was encouraging because I struggle with like self-confidence like still, but at the time I was like I was afraid to even post my audition video because I was like, is the entire internet just gonna shit on me? Like, am I really dumb and I don't know it? And then like I asked my older brother, I was just like, should I do this contest or should I just not do it? And I had already made the videos and everything, and he was like, just do it, who cares? Who cares? And I was like, oh man, you're right. And so I entered, and like I'm so glad I did because that was the opportunity that really encouraged and pushed me to keep going.
Sure. I mean, that's very good advice to anyone is just fucking do it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no kind I mean, especially if you made the videos, it's like, yeah, just putting yourself out there. I mean, it takes bravery and it takes determination to do it, but I think a lot of this job is just going, just go for it, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
cast aside your sort of insecurities, at least for the moment, and just dive in and try your best. And well, that's great. I'm always curious to hear about like how everyone has sort of different paths into the industry, and so with after Miss Monochrome, then what was your sort of, you don't have to give like your whole like literally everything, but what was the kind of like the path after that?
The path after that, I'm like trying to remember the order of things. Like I moved out to LA because I knew Patrick. He kind of like introduced me to Cup of Tea, who then sent me some auditions, and like I was still, Bang Zoom knew of me, and so they started sending me auditions.
Sure.
And so yeah, I started auditioning for stuff and like started booking little things here and there. One of the other first things that I did here was Maya Fey in Ace Attorney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like I haven't played Ace Attorney, so
Okay.
Cardinals. And you're a fan though, right? I feel like
I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I've seen you post something about Ace Attorney. So yeah, I like didn't know that there was such a huge fan following for this game, and like I didn't really know much about the game when I went into it, and then like I fell in love with the idea of it, but like I still haven't played it because I was like, I don't want to hear myself at the time. I was like, I can't play a game that I'm in because I don't want to listen to myself. It just takes me out of the game, and like all I can focus on is like, I should have done this, I should have done this. But now I feel like I'm a lot better with that kind of thing. So now I kind of want to go back and play.
I mean, you're in the 6th game, so you don't have to worry for a while.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I bought them all too because I was like, I'm gonna play through, and then I just haven't yet. So
I would highly recommend it. I think it'll give you an even greater appreciation for your character, because your character is one of the best characters in the series. So you should definitely play, especially the first three are like, not to say the other ones are not, but the first three are just so amazing. I mean, I play every single one that comes out. Like they actually very recently for the recording of this episode announced the I don't know if you saw this, the Great Ace Attorney.
Oh yeah, that's like in.
Yeah,
like
it's in like
old Japan. I don't even know when.
Japan and London. It's like, I think like 1800s or something, or whatever. Like,
yeah,
that was something that we never thought was going to come stateside, but they're releasing both of them in a collection, which is very exciting. And I think they just announced like they're packaging that with the original trilogy or something. So now's a good time. You should dive in.
All right.
Especially
Sold.
if if you're a big video game fan. I think those games are amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you have a hard time hearing yourself and stuff. What has sort of helped you kind of get over that over time, or is it just like, fuck it, just sort of happened, you just bear it, like, sort of grit your teeth and bear it, or what? Like, what is?
It's like a combination of things. I feel like it's kind of like a fuck it, like I did it and that's what happened, and like move on with your life. Like, you can't dwell on these things.
Sure.
Like, it is what it is, and like I could learn from it, if there's, I don't know. I just like, I'm trying not to pick myself apart so much these days, because I tend to do that. And so, like, playing Fire Emblem, I was like, yes, blue lines, please. I'm going to do it. And I'm like, I'm going to listen to my performance and just play the game and enjoy it. And, like, that was fine. Like, I was fine. I wasn't cringing, over the whole thing. So the more you do it, I feel like the more you get used to it, and the more you just, like, get used to letting go, the more you can. So I don't know.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Well, I think you're great in it. I think I love your performance as Annette. I think she's great.
Thank you.
But I from my experience, I've actually not played a game I've been in.
Oh really?
Yes, I've watched shows I've been in, and that's fine. Like, I don't have an issue with it. Usually, I'm like, oh yeah, that was, fine. But I haven't played a game yet, and I do wonder, because there's so much more dialogue. I wonder if that would maybe make me feel the same way, like, oh god, like this and this. But I don't know. I guess it's also interesting that, like, it's sort of like when you voice in something, it kind of makes you not like less interested, but it's like, well, I kind of know what happens, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing for me. Like, it takes me out of it, because, like, I did record, so I know some of the script. And, like, when I hear myself, I'm like, oh, this is no longer a fantasy where I'm immersed in, it's me. So, I don't know, is that an element for you of... Are you avoiding playing games that you're in?
Not necessarily. I play less video games now. Like, I used to play a lot more, and I basically swapped all my skill points and time points into board games instead, because that's less time, and I can play more stuff. So, like, it just so happens that the video games that I choose to play are not the ones that I'm in. So, like for example, like, if I were in Hades, I would not have been like, I'm not going to play Hades. Like, I'm interested in Hades because of the gameplay. This makes it sound like I'm not interested in the gameplay of the games that I'm in. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that there are so many games to play, and people tell me, oh, like, this game is really good. And I'm like, yeah, no, I should play it, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
You gotta prioritize. Yeah.
I haven't gotten around to it, and then there is that kind of thing, and I also, like, know the dialogue. So it's like I kind of know what happens. It's like I feel like I kind of experienced it. It doesn't feel as like brand new, you know. But you know, what are you gonna do? Like but with shows like, I mean, I have not seen every single thing I'm in either. But if I was already a fan of it, then I will watch it. Yeah. Although I think I'm trying to remember if I watched. Even then, if it has if I'm in the dub, I think I watched the sub first actually. Yeah, I don't know, and then I watched the dub maybe later on another viewing. But
I like to watch. So this is a horrible confession, but for Demon Slayer, I watched it all in Japanese except for a couple episodes. Like I went back and I was like, let me check out the English, and it's like. Two things. Like, one, I don't want to hear my performance. And then two, I'm like, let me practice my Japanese that I'm like slowly forgetting. Because like, when do I get to use it? Never. You know, sometimes in a session when they're like, what does this mean? I'm like, this is what it means. Or I don't know. So.
When you watch anime, usually, do you watch it subbed or dubbed?
I usually watch it subbed to try to like practice.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. For me, it's I'm just a big fanboy of Seiyu, so that's why I watch it. I watch it subbed. I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of Seiyu, so that
do you really?
Oh yeah, I can. If I hear a performance, I can usually be like, "That's so and so."
That's awesome.
Is it awesome?
I mean, I love that stuff. I love it when you're like, when you have this like little niche talent, like identifying Japanese voice actors. Like that is. Awesome.
I'll thank you. I don't know.
I mean, not that that's your only talent.
No. But I mean, just like it seems more sad than anything. But I'll take the compliment.
I don't know. I love really nerdy shit. Like,
do you have anything like that? Like a extremely nerdy, like, oh, I can do this, or I have extreme knowledge of this subject?
Oh man, I don't know if there's anything like really specific like that. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like Guitaro Man. I have two copies of the game, one in English, one in Japanese, and I have the soundtrack.
And you cosplayed it.
And I cosplayed it, so like that's one really.
I think that definitely counts.
Dorky thing.
Going back to kind of like the whole sub dub thing, like you know, a lot of people are always like trying to make it like a big like fight or whatever, and I'm just like, who cares? Like it doesn't matter at all.
It makes me so mad. And like I think that these days the localizations and dubs are great for the most part. Like some of them are so like they're nuanced because like the directors and writers are like making their own jokes that are culturally relevant to, you know, English speakers. Yeah. And then the Japanese version also has its own unique jokes. So like both versions are great and valid for their own reasons. And like people like each of them for their own reasons. And who cares who watches what? People get so
wrapped up in that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, there was one thing I'll just ask, because I just ask fucking everybody, is do you play board games at all?
I only when like I'm invited to. I don't take the initiative. I'm not like a huge board game person, but I have been to a couple board game nights in my day. I enjoy board games depending on who I'm playing with. So I'm like okay. I'm not like obsessed with board games, but I love just like fucking around and having fun with people who I love. I see. Ooh, may I say fuck on that?
I've said fuck I think 1,000 times so far, so I think you're fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Cool. Fuck. Yeah, so I feel like it's like the company that sells me on board games.
Okay.
But do you have any like that you absolutely love that you would be like, this is what I would recommend to someone if they're like, what's a board game?
What's a board game? Ooh,
I mean, not in like simplicity, but in like in terms of like, this is a cool thing.
Okay. I would say, like, just for, I think this is a pretty easy sell for people is, you've heard of Pandemic? Have you heard of Pandemic, the board game?
Yes.
Okay. So there's Pandemic Legacy, which is a campaign version of that. I would say, like, if you have, like, a group of friends and you can play something in multiple times, Pandemic Legacy is a great... Do you know what a legacy game is?
I'm not sure.
Basically, the long story short, it's basically... Imagine a board game where you play it over multiple sessions, but there's a story and there are permanent changes that happen. So you can only play through this campaign once. So, like, you, like, rip up cards, you put stickers on the board, you have permanent lasting effects based off your decisions and how you do in the game. And there are plot twists and there are secret boxes that say, like, don't open this box until you get... If you do this, open this and see what happens, you know. It's great. I would say... Something like that, like Pandemic alone, I think is a good sort of entryway game into sort of more quote-unquote serious games. But that sort of experience, I think, can be very exciting for people to go, oh, this is what, you know, board games can do.
This is fun.
Yeah,
I like board games.
Yeah, exactly. You know, beyond that, like, you know, even just like party games, I think, are a good way to get people into it. Like, there's one called Deception Murder in Hong Kong where... I don't know if you've heard of this game, but a bunch of you, you're all detectives, and you're trying to solve a murder, but one of you is the murderer, and so you're looking at everyone's sort of, like, evidence and going, who amongst us is actually the... Because there's a silent clue giver who's giving you clues as to who it is, and you're all looking at each other's stuff and going, oh, well... Because the answer has to be it's like two different cards, and everyone has cards in front of them. It's like weapons and evidence. And the answer, the murderer gets to choose secretly at the beginning of the game while everyone else's eyes are closed. So they might be like, okay, mine is like can opener and, I don't know, fucking rope or something like that. And so the clue giver is trying to put these clues down to direct the detectives to figure out which one of you is the murderer. And the murderer is trying to, like, sort of point towards other people or cover up for your, you know... for your evidence. It's very, very good.
That sounds fun. That's like a more complicated Among Us.
Yeah. Like, do you like Among Us?
It's another game where I'm like, this is fun, depending on who you play it with.
Yeah, definitely depending on who you play with.
Yeah.
I would say there are several board games that do what Among Us does, but I would say even better. Like, you know, in more interesting ways, more varied ways. I think Among Us is fun, but you can definitely, like, and even like Secret Hitler. Have you ever played like Secret Hitler?
No.
Oh shit, Secret Hitler is fucking great. I mean, have you heard of it or know what it is?
No. Out of the loop.
Yeah, no. Secret Hitler is a game where some of you are fascists and some of you are liberals, and one of you is Hitler, like a secret Hitler, and you're trying to get these laws passed, but you don't know who's who. Chancellor, the fascists immediately win the game. Meanwhile, if